tricep, you know, you do this, and take a whole lot of time hitting those poses. And the side tricep, I used to do it different because my calves were really strong. So I put the one leg back, showing the hamstrings and calves, which I think Kevin's the only one that did that. Everyone else did just like this because you had good hamstrings as well. But if you didn't, it's better to be like this. Don't try and hit that next to me or hit one of Kevin's poses because you're going to look silly, you know. So style it to your own physique, your own strengths.
Nutrition-wise, I want to know what you guys normally eat throughout a day, like a meal plan, like say pre-contest or bulking.
Yeah, you want to know what we used to eat, not what we do now.
Yes, used to during days.
Well, I was very particular about everything I did. I kept a food diary like all the time, the training diary, everything like that, so I could analyze what's working, you know, with the training, with the diet, everything like that, rather than being hit and miss. I remember Flex Wheeler, who was like a great bodybuilder, one of my potential threats, you know, and you know, he's asking me some stuff, and I'm like, yeah, but Flex, you look incredible at the Arnold, like when you won the Arnold. What did you do there? And he's like, well, I don't know, man, I can't remember because I fell out with my trainer and he told me what to do and I don't know now, you know. Whereas I had all my stuff written down, so I knew. In the off season as well, I would still keep a diary. In off season, I was at about 6,500 calories a day. You know, but that was when I was at my biggest. When I was an amateur, I was probably on 4,500 calories a day. But as I got bigger, my need for calories increased. You got more muscle, you burn more calories. So over the years, it increased. So I'd probably be like 6,500 calories maximum in off season. I'd start getting ready for a contest around 5,000, and probably 4,000 would be the lowest that I went for a Mr. Olympia, and that's like 400 grams of protein a day, the rest made up of carbohydrates and a little bit of fat. So the big variable for me was the carbs. In the off season I'll take more, and towards the contest less, but never zero carbs or anything like that. You know, you need carbohydrates, just reduce it and increase your expenditure through doing, you know, more exercise, more cardio exercise and so on. Kev?
This question is for Shawn.
Shawn,
Yeah.
I think far as your question about caloric intake and everything, for me, I got my protein source from fish. I really like dieting on fish. I wasn't heavy on the beef and anything like that. But I think my calories are probably a little lower, probably 500 milligrams lower than Dorian's, but somewhat still on the same line. I wasn't as massive and as thick as he was. So for me, I was like probably about 4,900 calories, but that's good, clean calories. And another thing, I don't know about Dorian or Shawn, but for me, when a lot of times you talk to guys, Dorian, and they're like, well, we take in 8,000 calories, and like you're getting ready for your show at 8,000 calories. Well, the second question would be, is it food? You know, because food is digested and stored differently than protein shakes. And a lot of guys that get on these shakes and count that as, you know, hardcore preparation for a bodybuilding contest. For me, it was all about getting my food from, you know, my protein and carbs from actual food, not protein shakes. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, Dorian.
I had a couple of shakes a day, but I mean, I was 400, 450 grams of protein a day. I probably had maximum 100 grams of that through a protein shake. I never cut the shakes out because like 3 days before, I'd be just eating solid food, but I'd take shakes up to 3 days before. I didn't see any problem in that. It's just a quickly digested form of protein. If you eat a chicken breast, it's going to digest into liquid and be absorbed. So it's just a bit quicker and convenient. I think it was habit as well. So because when I started training, I was working, I was busy, and I was on a budget as well. So I'd have like one meal food, chicken breast, something, another meal shake. You know, so it was just convenience, and that just carried on throughout my whole preparation. So. Yeah, I did use shakes somewhat, but it was probably like around 20% of my protein intake. The rest was food, of course.
Yeah, this question is for
Compete with somebody with a mic next door as well.
Okay, yeah.
Come up here, Shawn. Don't be shy. Shawn's a little shy. He doesn't like to talk too much.
Okay, yeah, so I read in MD that you've never made the dollar outside of bodybuilding ever. Do you ever regret that at all?
It sounded like he said, I never made $1 outside of bodybuilding. Do I regret it? Do I regret it? Was that the question? No, I mean, this is what I do. This is who I am. I started out at 17 years old and 3 years out of high school. I was a professional bodybuilder. I was on my first cover of Flex magazine when I was 20 years old. And I had a contract with Joe Weider. So my dream began at a very, very young age. I was living at home, I was in college, earned my pro card. I mean, literally after I earned my pro card, I was sitting in the classroom the following Monday. After the '88 Mr. Olympia, I came home and I was still in the classroom. I had to find a way to make the nickels and dimes add up to dollars and cents. And from a very early portion of my career, I looked at myself as a product. Back then, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have the cell phones. I mean, there's a lot of stuff we didn't have. We had fax machines. But I was smart enough to know that there's gyms, there's supplement stores, and there's contest promoters, and I need to get their addresses. So I would get the NPC News magazine, Flex magazine, Muscle and Fitness, and in there, you'd have a list of all the contest promoters and the supplement stores and gyms. When I went out, I would take an 8x10, and I'd run off 200, 300 copies, and I'd self-address an envelope and send it out to all of these different addresses, letting them know I was a national champion, I was available for seminars, guest appearances, store appearances, anything bodybuilding related. If you send out 200, 300 of those, if I get back 50, that's a year's worth of work. 20 is half a year's worth of work. So I found a way to monetize my availability advertising myself, because no one else was going to do it for me. My phone wasn't going to ring. I had to let them know how to reach me, how to get a hold of me. And back then, I leave my house, all I have is my answer machine at home. So whenever I had a message or I'd get a fax, I would always follow up. And back then we had snail mail, so you had to sit down and physically write out all of these letters to people. And I was diligent, and it paid off initially, because my first contract with Joe Weider was $1,000. My apartment was $700, and my car note was $289. I forgot I needed insurance, gas and food, lights, and all of that other stuff. I just knew I had $1,000, I can get an apartment and a car. So the only way I was going to be able to do that, because I was only competing once, was to make sure I was busy. And I hit the seminar circuit, started getting involved with some television stuff, and my entire career as a pro bodybuilder, I've always had Shawn Productions, which is the creation of other things. I'd be competing in the Mr. Olympia, and the day after Olympia, I have a Shawn Ray Muscle Camp with other bodybuilders, giving them a platform to address the audience. Because you pay big money to go to the Olympia, and you don't even get to hear us speak. But the following day, you can meet us at the gym, and there you are, you can touch them, you can take a picture with them, you can see that they're no longer mythical, they're real, they're right in front of you. And sometimes when you get that close to something that you dream about, or an icon, or somebody that you never thought was possible that you would meet, it makes your dream more crystal clear. And when you leave that experience, you go back to the gym, re-energized and motivated, and suddenly he's not just a guy in a magazine. You were up there, you shook his hand. So I was bringing these pro bodybuilders to the audience, and from that, of course, I started doing competition promotions. The last Olympia I was in, I actually did the television commentating for it. So I had plans going into my last Olympia, knowing it was my last, but how was I going to go out? So I wound up getting with a network, Fox Sports Net, and they put this whole Olympia thing together for television. I was broadcasting that. That's the first time we jumped off the stage in Mandalay Bay and actually went into the audience where the bodybuilders were up there posing. That was the first time that ever happened. And so as a commentator, I had to actually commentate and break down myself, knowing that that was my last Mr. Olympia. So I don't say there's no regrets, because I'm getting paid to live the dream. I am the dream, because I wasn't supposed to make it anyways. I'm 5'7", I'm under 210 pounds. Remember, I came up behind Lee Haney, who won 8 in a row. Dorian Yates won 6 in a row. Ronnie Coleman won 8 in a row. It was never in the cards for me to be Mr. Olympia, because the criteria changed when I first picked up a weight. In 1984, I was graduating high school. Lee Haney was winning his first Olympia. Then in 4 years later, I'm standing next to him on stage. Haney says he's going to retire in 91, and guess who shows up? The Shadow. A bigger version of Lee Haney with calves and a bigger back. Now I got to watch this wedding party go on for 6 years. He gets hurt in 97. Ronnie Coleman was 8th place. I was 3rd place. The previous Mr. Olympia, I was 2nd. I dropped to 3rd. Nasser El-Somebody crept up, and arguably people thought Nasser should win and maybe I should win, but I knew now Dorian was not going to be in the 98 Olympia. And I think what I have a regret is that I think I trained harder that year, knowing that Mr. Olympia wasn't going to be there. Here I had all these chances of being the best I could, train as hard as I could. When I found out that Dorian wasn't going to be there, a light went off, and suddenly I kind of went into overdrive, and I started training even more. I think I overtrained thinking that this is my opportunity. And all of us, I think, got energized. I mean, at someone else's peril. It would have been better to compete with Dorian on stage and win on stage and you feel more complete. But with that being wide open, here comes frickin' Ronnie Coleman, a bigger version of Dorian. 5'10", 260. He ultimately wound up winning the Mr. Olympia like 290 plus pounds. Biggest Mr. Olympia ever. In 2001, I realized, you know what? I'm just gonna be another pace car on the racetrack. I've been there 12 years already, and what am I gonna accomplish on this level? So my mind was already turning in my last Olympia that I had to find other ways to stay relevant. And through that, I've been able to promote DVDs, MC shows, write for Muscular Development magazine, and give other bodybuilders opportunity and platforms. So now I put myself in a place where when I'm interviewing a bodybuilder, I know what he's talking about. I've been there. I know the questions to ask. So, and I'm here in England. I didn't buy my plane ticket to be here. This is a result of all of that work that I put in. And the net result is I'm still able to give back and contribute. This is a job that I think we all started out doing for free. I wasn't getting paid to go to the gym and diet and eat all of those calories and sacrifice my social life and relationships. I was doing that for nothing. So then I had to find a way to economize the balance of my life. And we've all done that. You got DY Nutrition. Kevin Levrone is giving Lee Haney a Lifetime Achievement Award at a contest that I created, the Shawn Classic. So we all are finding ways to integrate each other in our experience for the Hall of Famers and the guys coming up behind us, trying to work synergistically together to keep the wheel on the bus. So we're all kind of in this together. And I think if you ask one bodybuilder that's been there on that Olympia stage that's still involved with the sport, it's a labor of love. It's a passion. Dorian tore his bicep, his tricep. That was the end of his career, but he's reinvented himself. Rich Gaspari tore his pec, came back, he's got one of the biggest supplement companies there is. Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia, he's coming up with the Ronnie Coleman Signature Series. We all kind of find what we're good at doing, and if you can monetize something that you would probably do for free or that you're passionate about, the nickels and dimes, they add up to dollars and cents. You don't have to be rich, but I'm rich with where I've been, the things that the people I'm associated with. I mean, this was a guy that you couldn't hate him because it was him winning that was making me look like that. Without him, there is no me. That was my goal, to beat him. Finally, he's gone. Ronnie Coleman was 9th place in the 97 Mr. Olympia, and I'm thinking I gotta deal with Kevin or Flex. None of us were thinking about Ronnie Coleman. And then he came up and was the dream crasher, wrecked all of our party, but we all found a way to kind of coexist. So I think we all find our way. And you can't get into this industry to make money. If you work hard and you're passionate at what you do, the money will come, whether you're a winner on the stage or not. There's guys that have never even competed in bodybuilding making more money than all of us through the health and fitness industry. You just gotta find what you're passionate about.